Coronavirus is spreading and it is heading towards a pandemic. At the same time, there is a global pandemic of vitamin D deficiency. So, my talking to you today focuses on, can vitamin D be a protection against coronavirus? And I would like to explain to you with all the scientific basis behind it, the reasons, the doses, the recommendations, which can be of great help to the global community. You know, it's proven that vitamin D deficiency makes a person prone to frequent coughs, colds, even pneumonias. When there was an influenza epidemic, even that time it was found that vitamin D deficiency is one big reason making the people prone. Now, it's the coronavirus. And friends, coronavirus is not new. It has come in the past too in the form of SARS, right? That was severe acute respiratory syndrome. Then there was a Middle East respiratory syndrome. And now this novel coronavirus 2019. There is a lot of news in the media, like this International Business Time review, which says that vitamin D deficiency makes people prone to get this coronavirus infection. It's a risk factor. It's no longer an optional supplement. It's a cellular necessity today. It is our life health support system. Now comes the question, how much to take? What is the right blood level? Well, initially vitamin D recommendations when they were made, they were done keeping only prevention of bone, wrong health like rickets. We didn't want that. So the recommendations were only for that. And what were they? If you do a blood test, if your blood levels are 20 nanogram per ml, you can prevent rickets. And this can be achieved with doses of mere 400 to 800 international units taken daily. These recommendations were made in the past, but later it was realized that the doses recommended are too less for general health. And a statistical error has been made in the calculation. You can see all these papers, the big vitamin D mistake. There are many more. So 20 nanogram, I'll just say the number 20 now, nanogram is the common unit, is too low, it's suboptimal. 40 is the minimal desired level in units, nanogram per ml, and that is the minimal needed for overall health. Another nice paper to say that even to prevent pneumonias, respiratory infections, minimum 40 nanogram is needed. And friends, to achieve this, the previous slide shows that you need to take at least 9,000 units per day. See the contrast, huh? So the whole thing has to be understood in today's perspective, where there's too much of deficiency. And it's great to know that our ancestors, who were basically farmers, their blood levels used to be 80 nanogram per ml and above. And they were much more healthier than what we are today. So above 40, up to 80. This is what is even recommended today. The Endocrine Society says 30 to 100 nanogram is sufficient. So friends, we need to take it up. We need to take it above. Okay? 40 prevents pneumonias, and for coronavirus type of deadly viruses, there's no harm touching up to 60. 60 and above would be good. And see how sad the reports are today. Nobody today has levels of 40 at least without supplementing, because the reports we see are less than 3, 5, 8, 10, 12. It's really shocking, really shocking. 21st century evaluation of vitamin D says, proven that our daily, normal, physiological, safe dose of vitamin D is 10,000 units per day. It is absolutely safe to have that as an adult dose. Even a level has been set up called as no observed adverse effect level, NOAEL, for vitamin D. For adults, it is 1,000 units per day. For young children, young adolescents, say from the age group of 11 to 17, it is 400 international units per day of intake of vitamin D. And for younger children who are less than 1 to 10 years, it is 2,000 international units per day. These are the safe levels which have been studied, accepted, recommended globally. In children, they say that the target should be 40 to 70 levels in the blood, nanogram in blood, to keep our children healthy and have a strong immune system. Why only children, even adults? So a vitamin D supplementation program to prevent disease, much like the current vaccination program, could potentially have a dramatic impact on overall health worldwide. So this slide of mine in yellow, vitamin D, sunlight, says that if we do not supplement today, we will need medicines tomorrow. So let's target blood levels of 40 to 60 nanograms, which is absolutely safe. Since the commonest blood levels we see are less than 20, so for that category of people who have never taken vitamin D, who are adults, they will land in this category, 90% of them. So one can take comfortably 1000 units, 10,000 units per day. In India, since we do not get supplements of that strength, 10,000 units, we get 60,000 units per capsule or sachet. So how do we take it? As a safe protocol for adults who have never taken vitamin D, okay? At this time, when the fear of coronavirus is so high, there is no harm, friends, taking it, okay? Even higher doses are recommended globally. We are adopting the middle path. So we take that 60,000 units ka one capsule once a week for about 3 months. And this should be followed by taking it once in 15 days always. There is no point taking it once a month. It's of no use. There is no point taking 4 to 8 capsules and then stopping it. It's like you're filling a car which is on the reserve with petrol, waiting for it to come on reserve once again. So there has to be a maintenance dose, okay? And that goes safely once in 15 days, 60,000 units. And this will take up our blood levels to around 40 to 50 nanograms per ml. For those people who have special medical conditions, especially kidney stones or you can say kidney problems, they should be careful of not overloading the body with calcium. Because when vitamin D is taken, calcium gets absorbed and it is extra calcium in the body that could be toxic, but not vitamin D. Vitamin D toxicity goes only when the levels are above 150 and 200 nanograms in blood. So we are very safe playing with these doses. And the facts and rationales to support it I've mentioned. Vitamin D is a global pandemic. Corona is heading towards a pandemic. We lose nothing by improving the global vitamin D status, as food does not have enough vitamin D. When checked first time without any supplementation, very low blood levels are found, 3 to 20 nanograms per ml. You can follow this protocol easily with all of them. And nobody has been found to have the minimal requirement of 40 nanograms in the blood without supplementation. And now friends, something like a treatment. Suppose somebody is traveling or is feeling has come in touch with somebody with a suspected infection, okay? There's something called as vitamin D hammer, right? This was used when influenza was there in the air. Giving 50 to 60,000 that capsule units of vitamin D daily for 3 days, like a hammer, tuck, 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 you know, and that was found to abort the viral attack within few hours. This is being practiced in the West, Canada, United States, okay? So we can also do it here. If somebody has never taken vitamin D, is traveling, is feeling suspicious, do the vitamin D hammer. Take 60,000 one daily for 3 days. Okay, then what do? You have to have a maintenance. So after 2 weeks or so, start taking that same 60,000 capsule weekly for 2 to 3 months and then go on the same maintenance once in 15 days. There's another alternative. We get an injection of 6 lakh units in our country. That can also be taken one shot intramuscularly, okay, to be taken of course by a doctor. Take it one shot and it has been found to bring up the levels nicely 60 and above. And once the injection has been taken, after 3 to 4 weeks, one can go on the maintenance dose of taking that capsule once in 15 days always. Children, when it comes to children, we follow that NO, that no observed adverse effect level for them. So for children who are 1 to 10 years of age, they can be given 1,000 to 2,000 international units daily. Please take advice from your pediatrician how to do it. And for young adolescents, 11 to 17 years of age, 3,000 to 5,000 international units daily. Okay? Well, this is a paper talking about that vitamin D hammer dose where influenza was treated with 50,000 units daily for 2 to 3 days. This is a great one where single dose of 6 lakh units was given and the vitamin D level baseline, which was 15 nanograms, after 3 days it was found to go to 77 nanograms. And at the end of the month it was 62 nanograms. So that one shot of 6 lakh can bring us to 60 nanogram and then we maintain it later on with the once in 15 days oral maintenance dose. So friends, it's important to know a little bit about what is this coronavirus, how it is so dangerous, and how can we potentially prevent its effects on so many of people who are scared and who are really worried about the whole thing at the global level. Because it's not just a health load, it's also becoming now an economic pressure. So coronavirus, as the name stands for, means a virus which has spikes, the corona. And it comes in the category of encapsulated virus, means it has a capsule which has spiky projections jutting out. So when somebody gets caught with this coronavirus, it initially manifests in the form of a common flu, cough, cold, fever, and 98 out of 100 people, they come out of it because nature gives us an immune system that can tackle it. But 2% of the people land up towards the scared form, the dreaded form, which is called as ARDS, that is severe respiratory distress syndrome. Okay, so then what happens? The person gets high fever, something like a pneumonia, bad pneumonia, where the entire lung gets filled up with fluid, which is called as pulmonary edema or a shock lung. And this is the cause of all the fatalities. So friends, look here at this X-ray, The first picture shows a very clear chest picture. The lungs are black, means it is filled up with air. While the second picture shows that wide, hazy look. This is a lungs filled up with the fluid or the pulmonary edema of a ARDS patient. Now, what leads to ARDS? How does it happen with this so-called coronavirus infection and similar infections in the past? So I'll have to use some medical terminologies, but it's important for us to understand the rationale behind suggesting vitamin D. So there is a system in the body called as RAS, or the renin-angiotensin system. Now this is one of the reasons when it gets deranged, it leads to this so-called acute respiratory distress syndrome. So as you can see in this slide, friends, I've tried to make it as simple as I can. There is a sequence of events that is happening. There is a substrate called angiotensinogen, and there's that pink thing, renin. Now this is important because it converts this material into something called as angiotensin 1, and then this angiotensin 1 gets converted to angiotensin 2. Cutting the story short, angiotensin 2 is the bad one, right? It leads to vasoconstriction, means all the blood vessels in the body get narrowed, and it's inflammatory in nature, means it promotes inflammation everywhere in the body. So angiotensin 2, which is getting made in this cascade, what does it do? When it goes uncontrolled, it leads to something called as a cytokine storm. Cytokine stands for all the chemicals which the body is releasing as a response. And these cytokines are all super inflammatory in nature. And what do they lead to? What are the consequences? This storm leads to all the infiltrates in the lung injury, rapid breathing difficulties, a shock to the heart, to the kidneys, and ultimately death. So that's why it's called as acute respiratory distress syndrome or shock lungs. Well friends, nature is very kind on us. When there is something bad, there has to be something good to balance it out. So there's a good guy in the picture, and that good guy is called AC2, ACE2, angiotensin converting enzyme 2. Now what does this good guy do? The bad guy, which is in excess, that is angiotensin 2. So this good guy, AC2, converts the bad guy into good form. So angiotensin 2 gets converted into angiotensin 1,7, as you can see. And here the action is totally reverse. There is no inflammation here. It is anti-inflammatory. So the inflammatory part of angiotensin 2 gets converted into the good form with the help of AC2. In this picture, you can see the balance, like a weighing scale. To see that the lungs are in order and not getting affected by the ARDS, we want more of AC2, or the good guy, and less of the bad guy, that is angiotensin 2. Now, this is important to know. Coronavirus, it targets the good guy. Coronavirus targets AC2 and reduces the levels of AC2 in the body. In fact, you can see in this slide that it enters the human cells, coronavirus, through AC2 receptors. And you can see this paper, angiotensin converting enzyme 2 is a functional receptor for the SARS coronavirus. And here it's a beautiful depiction to show you how coronavirus goes and sort of deactivates AC2. You can see that AC2 is like a key shown on top of a cell. Okay? Now, our coronavirus wants to enter the cell. So it has to open that key. And the key opening it does with the help of the corona. The corona has some proteins at the tip called as spike protein or the S protein. Now this too is a bad guy. So this bad guy, spike protein, goes and opens the lock by deactivating AC2, and the coronavirus gains entry inside our cells. Okay? So a little complicated slide, but here you can see the left side shows a balance in the body where the AC2 is functioning well, the one in the blue. Okay? The second half of the slide shows the coronavirus getting attached to the AC2, sort of deactivating it, and the whole balance has gone for a toss towards the inflammation and all the problems inside the body, predominantly the lungs. And see how the patient lands up into an ICU setup with ARDS, or acute respiratory distress syndrome. Well, this study shows in a group of people in an ICU setup who were having ARDS, all of them had vitamin D deficiency. Not just deficiency, but a very significant deficiency. This sort of a graph shows that all the people who had ARDS, their blood levels were very, very low, below less than 20 nanomoles of vitamin D. Now this is scary. Why? Because in today's time, there is a vitamin D deficiency pandemic, where majority of people are anyways having very, very low blood levels of vitamin D. So till now, friends, some salient points. All the coronavirus of the past or today can lead to ARDS, shock lungs, which is the feared complication. Now, coronavirus, through the spike protein or the S protein, goes and attaches to the AC2, the good guy, and deactivates it. Okay? And this AC2 enzyme is needed to deactivate the ultimate bad guy, that is angiotensin 2. So once the virus attaches, this doesn't happen and all the complications occur. So in order to avoid ARDS, regulation of all these is important. Okay? Chemically it is important. And let's see if vitamin D can do it. So I've shown you a very simplified chart, our 3 targets. Well, there are many other ways vitamin D works, but these are the main ones I'm trying to share with you today. So, angiotensin 2, the bad guy, we need to reduce it. Can vitamin D help? Yes. And how? I'll tell you very soon. AC2, the good guy, can it be increased? Can vitamin D do it? The answer is yes. The spike protein, the bad one, Can it be nullified? Can vitamin D achieve it? Again, the answer is yes. Let us see how. This paper shows that vitamin D is found to alleviate this lung injury by regulation of the renin-angiotensin system. So let's target the angiotensin 2 first, the bad guy. How can vitamin D sort of deactivate it? So I get back to you to the same picture which we sort of saw a few slides back. And here we see how there is something called as renin, which is leading to the cascade of conversion, finally producing angiotensin 2. So renin is a sort of an enzyme the body makes to bring about the activation of the renin-angiotensin system. I hope I'm able to reach you all. Now, vitamin D in this slide you can see. Well, vitamin D enters the cells. Gone are the days when vitamin D was only for bone health. Today, every cell of the body has VDR or vitamin D receptor. And vitamin D goes where? To the nucleus, to our genes. And it's a very powerful genetic modulator. It affects more than 1,000 genes in our body, which was not known many years back. So, one of the genes in the body is that which produces this renin. And vitamin D deactivates it. Good news, huh? So once the renin is not there, the angiotensin 2 will not get produced and create the havoc in the body. Good news, huh? Vitamin D is clearly known to reduce the expression of the gene for renin. And friends, by the way, this is another way it helps to control high blood pressure. This is just off track. This slide shows the genetic modulator role of vitamin D. You can see the citation, the paper to support it. And this is the picture of the cascade. You can see in blue above on the right side, vitamin D and analogs, they are suppressing the gene which leads to production of renin. And once the root is not there, the entire cycle gets suppressed. Okay, that's great. Now we move on to the second one, that is AC2, the good one. And here the paper says that AC2 protects from severe acute lung failure. So there is research going on to produce, sort of analogs of AC2, which can be given orally and bring about the effect. But well, it's still in the research stage. And there are so many lessons to be learned from past experiences. This paper shows that a new potential therapy for ARDS with AC2, lessons from the past SARS infection. So AC2 needs to be increased. Well, even for treating the bad influenza, this conclusion was made in the past that AC2 mediates the influenza as well. So, the balance is back again in this slide to show that AC2 needs to be upregulated because it plays a very critical role and its deficiency can worsen this entire coronavirus pathogenesis, as it is called. Good news. This is a paper published, as you can see on the right upper side of the slide, World Health Organization Bulletin. The words were really small, so I'm highlighting it. Calcitriol, that's the other name for activated vitamin D. It increases the expression of the gene for AC2, suggesting that AC2 increases and plays a role in protection against the development of lung injury. So vitamin D can upregulate or increase the AC2 at the genetic level. Isn't this fascinating to know? And now friends, the third one, the spike protein. The corona, the spike. Well, there is research going on. They are targeting a vaccine, a therapeutic development against the spike protein, to be given externally. But there's a good news. Well, this slide shows how the spike protein again attaches to the key of AC2 and it needs to be deactivated. So, nature is very kind on us. There are some natural antibiotics and antivirals that get made in the body to protect us from these foreign body attacks of bacteria and virus. These natural antibiotics and antivirals are called cathelicidins and defensins. You can see in this slide how they have been shown to reduce the viral attack to the body. They are called as natural host defense mechanisms, and they are a part of something called as our innate immune system. Well friends, this slide from a very reputed journal shows how the immune response to these viruses can be modulated by vitamin D. Vitamin D, if it's in good levels, there is increased production, natural internal production of these cathelicidins and defenses inside our own body. Amazing. So these two are the first line of defense. They are antimicrobial, immune modulatory, and they have been shown to have natural broad spectrum antiviral effect against both enveloped and non-enveloped. Means even the capsulated viruses it can protect from. And this picture shows it so beautifully. Okay, you can see how the spike proteins, the spike are getting covered with these natural defense mechanisms called defensins and cathelicidins. Okay, so great news friends. And now this is a paper where they have given high dose of vitamin D, 4 lakh units to people who are going through that emergency situation of a shock or sepsis in the body. The vitamin D levels were really low, as you can see in the left lower picture. They went up obviously because vitamin D is being given, but the right side picture shows how the cathelicidins also went up in these people with a oral intake or internal intake of vitamin D. So let's concise again friends. The vitamin D defense mechanisms against coronavirus. At the first point of contact, when the virus attacks the body, our innate immune system gets activated with vitamin D, and more defensins, more cathelicidins are produced as the natural antivirals which go and sort of cover the spike protein and prevents its attachment to our human cells. Then at step 2, vitamin D prevents the development of acute lung injury by deactivating or reducing the renin-angiotensin system. It reduces renin production and it increases the good guy, the AC2, and brings the right balance in the body. It doesn't allow the body to go towards massive inflammation. Well, there is a news we all know that vitamin D deficiency is a pandemic. It's a global pandemic for various reasons, and coronavirus is also heading towards a global pandemic. Vitamin D could be a very safe, a very effective, cheap method for protecting against coronavirus. Proper vitamin D supplementation to the population could actually help to not only control the epidemic, but there are studies that when it's given in high doses to people who are confined, who are kept away from the population, it can abort the development of a massive lung injury in confinement, So it can be used very effectively and safely. There is no harm doing it at all till vaccines come up, till other medicines are being developed. The pandemic is known. Well, this is a beautiful paper. Anybody interested, you can read it. Vitamin D is not just a nutrient. It's a hormone, it's an immune modulator, and it's also a genetic modulator to our advantage. Friends, if nothing else, we will be safer in today's time with the virus fear lurking around everywhere by taking 60,000 units capsule of vitamin D or the sachet once a week. No harm at all, because that gives us a physiological dose, roughly 9,000 units per day. For adults, it is 10,000 units. So we do no harm to ourselves. Okay, and a maintenance dose of once in 15 days later. So let's at least take some vitamin D. At least do that. So in today's time, considering potential benefits and no toxicity, 5,000 to 10,000 international units of vitamin D can be safely recommended. Taking a supplement is an intervention a person can implement immediately. Rather than feeling scared, feeling victimized, vitamin D supplementation leads to a feeling of control and, well, it enhances well-being too. So with this, thank you very much for listening to me. Please do spread this message. It is all done in public interest. There is no personal promotion here. It is made for the good of all. Thank you very much and wishing all the best of health. Feel safe, feel confident with vitamin D. Thank you.